On the islands west of Klawock, Alaska, the Tlingits traditionally utilized a different technology for capturing salmon. The same concepts of intertidal pulse fishing as found in the Klawock estuary were used here, but with different materials. On these rocky beaches, they built stone walls in the form of a semicircular arc, typically in the middle of the intertidal zone. By piling the stones on top of each other, they would create structures that salmon could swim over when the tide rose, but would trap salmon as the tide fell. They built these traps near streams where salmon would spawn. As salmon came in, they could go over the trap walls that would be completely underwater at high tide to lay their eggs in the gravel spawning beds. As the tide went out, some of the salmon would get caught behind the trap walls. These salmon were gathered by people from the nearby village who built and used the traps. At the lowest point of the stone arc, the fishermen positioned a circular wooden basket trap at a gap in the stone wall. As the tide ebbed, salmon would be captured in the basket trap. Water remained in the stone trap when the tide was out. Salmon that stayed in the trap could escape on the next tide if the people did not take them. Tlingit knowledge of patterns of salmon migration as they return to their streams is demonstrated by the intertidal stone traps built at Fern Point. Salmon from many streams migrated together from the ocean in large schools through island channels towards their streams. The Tlingit observed that these large schools moved near shore as they passed by Fern Point, prior to separating as they got closer to their home stream. This behavior created a unique opportunity to capture them. The Tlingit knew that tides varied from extreme high tide to extreme low tide depending on the time of month and year. They built their traps at different levels in the intertidal zone to use all the various tidal patterns to capture salmon that passed by Fern Point. At Fern Point, Tlingit people could begin catching abundant quantities of salmon a week or two before the salmon arrived in their spawning streams. Tlingit developed deep understandings of salmon over centuries of observation and interaction. It was this knowledge and its use that made it possible for the Tlingit people to sustain their rich culture in the Klawock region.